This episode is proudly sponsored by Diamond Media Walls. This company creates bespoke media walls suited for any home with any size wall, any style and any budget. They offer a unique service around the West Midlands and further out. Links for Diamond Media Walls will be in the show notes. But anyway, let's get on with the episode.
Just remember her saying, like, I do think it is breast cancer. I remember sat there, I was like, oh, breast cancer? And she was like, yeah. She was like, I can tell. She was like, I've been doing this job for 30 years. She was like, and I do think it is breast cancer. And she says, I feel like, oh, I need to tell you now. So when she told me, first of all, the first question that I suppose anyone would pose is, am I going to die?
Yeah.
And I remember before, like my mindset before, like if anyone said to me, you've got to shave your head, I'd be like, are you bonkers? I was so sort of proud of my hair.
Yeah.
Or like hair, nails, eyelashes, eyebrows. And then I remember Mum saying, of all bloody people to lose their hair, and it's you. Like we always had to make a light joke of it because it's so true. I had to be a perfect mum. I had to be a perfect teacher. And in life, no one's perfect. Yeah. And I've come to realise that. I lived a perfectly healthy lifestyle and I still got cancer.
Was your experience of cancer how you expected it to be? Welcome, Niamh.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Ready to share my story. Which is good.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you that you're actually brave enough to share your story, for choosing my podcast to do it on. I can't wait to hear all about it. We've had a bit of a chat, haven't we? We spoke on the phone, but I am coming into this and I prefer that. Yeah. I don't know enough. I don't know anything about your story. Yeah. And that's sometimes the best kind of format for us to talk.
Yeah.
So for any listeners that maybe don't know you, don't know anything about you, could you give us a bit of an insight into who you are and why you're here today?
Yeah, so I'm Niamh. I'm now 33. Just recently, I'm a mum of two, Jimmy and Maeve, 6 and 3. Husband Jim, and I'm also a primary teacher.
Wow.
Yeah, so come from quite a big family, very close-knitted family, which is what I love, is what I've ever known. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Going back to last year, at 31, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Something that I never thought would ever happen to me. You sort of hear cancer and you think, no, it won't happen to me, it won't happen to my family.
Yeah.
And then I just said to them, like him, I was like, I need you to make memories with Jimmy and Maeve. I was like, because I'm going to be okay. I'm going to fight this and I'm going to do the cycles that I need to do. But I need you to go and when I'm poorly, take Jimmy and Maeve away for the movie.
Yeah.
And then you're in it and you're like, bloody hell, this is my life. Like,
oh, God.
Yeah. So got diagnosed last, going back to New Year's Eve last year. So it was New Year's Eve 2024. I sadly watched my auntie die. Spent her last days with her. And she passed away on New Year's Day, 2025. So already the year was a bit shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then a couple of days later, I was in the shower, literally like at night, getting ready for work the next day. And I thought, oh, I can feel something. And then, do you know what? As soon as I felt it, I got that deep down. I was like, oh God, this is not right.
Yeah.
And Jim always says to me, like he's always said to me, when you say something's wrong, 9 times out of 10, it's wrong. Like you've got such a good intuition.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out of the shower and I got Jim to feel it and I was like, oh, it just doesn't feel right, does it? And Jim was like, there's definitely something there. And when I heard him say that, I thought, oh God, like, and I remember that night I tossed and I turned and like my body was just going into full on like anxiety mode, like shaking. But I went the next day to the doctors. She confirmed, like, she could feel a lump. She put me on the 2-week referral pathway. And then I went up to the hospital 2 weeks later. And I got seen by a consultant. And he actually said to me at first, he was like, all indicators are of a benign lump. He was like, it's movable, it's pea-sized, like, it's small. So, yeah, all the indicators are of a benign lump. He was like, but they do like a 3-part sort of like consultation. So it's like they feel it and then they do an ultrasound, a mammogram and a biopsy. So they do all that as like a precaution.
Mammogram's the big machine, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I remember people saying to me, how was it? How's the mammogram? And I was like, fine.
Oh, so it wasn't painful?
No, like, but I don't know if it's because I had blinkers on. I was just a bit like, I've got to do this, like, you know. So I went then I had to go back 2 days later for the biopsy and the scan and things like that, because the scanners weren't actually working on the day I'd gone and seen the consultant. So I went back and I went in the room, and I always remember her name. Her name was Karen. She was so lovely, the radiologist. And she basically straight away put the ultrasound on it, and she was like, oh, Niamh, we're going to have to get you in for a mammogram. And straight away I thought, oh God, this is not good. Like, I knew she'd seen something, and it, you know, it was suspicious as such. So then I went through and had my mammogram straight away.
Same day?
Same day, right. Yeah. This was all literally within like an hour or two. I actually drove myself to the hospital on that day, because I didn't, like 2 days before I was told by a consultant all indicators of a benign lump, and this was just to be extra precaution to make sure that, you know. And I took my mum with me, you know, we were laughing and joking on the way there. And so I came back in then from the mammogram, and she was like, right, I just need to have a little look and just put everything together, basically, that she'd got. And then she turned to me and she said, I feel like you want to know sort of if I've seen anything. I feel like you're that type of person. And I was, because I kept on asking her questions. Because she kept on talking about calcifications. Well, I've never heard that word in my life.
No, I haven't. What's that?
So apparently it's like white dots that you can see like in breast tissue, but sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. Like sometimes it could be like milk ducts or whatever, and sometimes it can be suspicious. It could be leading to, you know, cells that are going a bit rogue, right? Breast cancer. So yeah, and I just remember her saying like, I do think it is breast cancer. And I remember sat there, I was like, what, breast cancer? And she was like, yeah. She was like, I can tell. She was like, I've been doing this job for 30 years. She was like, and I do think it is breast cancer. And she says, I feel like, I need to tell you now so that you've got time to process it. Because then I had to wait for the biopsy results. And that was like 2-3 weeks I had to wait. And she was like, I'd feel cruel sending you home, you thinking, right, okay, I think I'm going to be okay. Yeah. And actually, I do believe it is breast cancer. And I was so thankful for Karen on that day, because I had time to process it. I had that 2 to 3 weeks to process it. And I got myself into that rut, but I had time to get myself out of the rut before I had my consultant appointment. Okay. And when I went into that appointment 2 to 3 weeks later, I hit it head on. I had the questions, I had some more knowledge. I did lots of research in those 3 weeks. So yeah, that's sort of like how it began. So that was like, I think I got the official diagnosis, I think I got like the beginning of February, but she'd told me before, like, I think it was the 23rd of January. It's funny because they're dates that you will never forget. Yeah, of course. It's like, I just had a date come up, the 23rd of April, and that was my first chemo that I had last year. And like, it's all these dates that you're like, oh, bloody hell, like, this time last year, this is how I felt. And, you know, and like this time last year, I would never have been able to talk about it. I didn't put anything on social media, didn't sort of do anything like that, because I was like, right, I just need to hit this head on. I need to fight it. Yeah. And I, like, my family were amazing. Jim's family were amazing. I just had to sort of like, had to cocoon myself and cocoon my family to make sure that I could get through it. And there was, like, I had to have that sort of positive mindset that the only thing that was going to come out of this was me getting better, you know. And it's so surreal. That sort of like fighting energy. Yeah, it's just like, even thinking back to it now, I can't really remember it. Yeah, of course. I think I was in like fight or flight mode, and I was just like fighting, and I was just like, right, I've just got to do this. So yeah, that's just sort of like where it all stemmed from last year.
I mean, this is the first time I've probably met you today, and your strength is incredible already. Like, even in some of the explanations that you're giving me, like, yeah, you thought that you were going to be okay. You drove yourself there on your own, but you wanted to hit it head on. So you had that time to process it. You're already thinking, right, positive outcome. Like, when Karen said that to you, so when you went to that appointment on your own and she basically was honest with you, she didn't want you to go home and worry, what was going through your head at that time?
So when she told me, first of all, the first question that I suppose anyone would pose is, am I going to die?
Yeah.
And she didn't say yes or no. She couldn't. She didn't know at that point. She didn't know what type of breast cancer I had. But she was like, I know people that are here and they've had breast cancer and they're still living now.
Yeah.
The drugs out there are so amazing these days. Like, she was like, you're going to be okay. She was like, we're going to fix this. And I always remember saying that, we're going to fix this.
Okay.
She was like, you'll have surgery to take it out. And then what comes next is then what comes from the biopsy results, you know, your treatment plan after, of how we're going to stop this coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but the first sort of like question that I did pose is, am I going to die? And then what came after was, am I going to be here for Jimmy and Maeve?
Yeah.
You know, and that sort of, it still sort of gets me now. But you just think, like, I fought so hard to have Jimmy and Maeve. I did, like, me and Jim struggled, you know, I had 2 losses before I had Jimmy. And they were sort of traumatic in themselves. And then unfortunately, soon after that, we lost Jim's mum.
Right.
To cancer. You know, so as a family, not just me and Jim, but Jim's family, my family, we've all been through trauma in that
You've
sense.
had pain, yeah.
And then, like, I thought to myself on that day, like, I've now got my happy ending. I've got Jimmy and Maeve. And now this. And I just thought, God, like, I can't believe this. Like, I can't believe this has happened. But I couldn't dwell on it. I couldn't be like, woe me. I had to just do something about it. You know, I just had to be like, right, I'm going to crack on. But I do remember coming back from the hospital on that day. And I remember it was an evening appointment. So it was like, I think I got in there at like 5 o'clock. So it was still like, it was, like, mind you, it was February. So it was dark when I went in. It was dark when I came out. I remember getting home and sort of like, I had to tell Jim, I was like, they think it's cancer. And like, I just remember his face going like green, like a greeny, whitey colour. And I was like, I'm going to be okay though. Because I had to put on that front, because I was like,
God, yeah.
for other people, I was like, I don't know. I always say this, I couldn't watch a loved one go through what I went through. But me going through it, yourself. I was okay. I was sort of in control of it, even though I wasn't. I couldn't control cancer, but I was in control with how I was going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And what I had to do to sort of get myself better.
Did you tell Jimmy and Maeve? Were they aware of anything that was going on?
I didn't really tell them until I had to go in for surgery.
Right.
Which was, they soon got me in for surgery at the end of February. So as soon as I sort of got my diagnosis, it was like wham bam, like straight into things, which is, I suppose it was good because I didn't really have time to think and process what was actually what was happening. I would just remember my NHS app just going ping, 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 like all the
appointments,
time.
letters, yeah.
And I was like, at first I was really scared because I was like, this is my life now for the foreseeable. But now, like, I'm sort of, now it's next year, just say like now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, those appointments are getting less. But now my anxiety is building because I'm like, oh, I'm not seeing my consultant and I'm not seeing my oncologist. And I'm not,
Right.
you know, so it's really weird. Like, you can't win.
Yeah.
With me, sometimes you just can't win. I want things and then I want things. But no, I didn't say anything to Jimmy and Maeve until I went in for surgery. And then after
Maeve's
surgery.
what, 3?
So she's 3 now, yeah. And Jimmy's autistic as well.
Right.
So with Jimmy, sort of things just go over his head, which I'm quite glad of. Like in this circumstance, I was quite glad of. But I just sort of had to say to them, Mummy's got a nasty in a boobie and, you know, the doctor's got to take it out. I said, but, you know, Mummy's going to be sore and this, that and the other. So I sort of like described it like that, but I've never said the word cancer to them.
Yeah, fair.
That's one thing that I thought, I was thinking about this the other day, like the word cancer, I don't want to say a scaremongering word, but I suppose it's not as bad as what people make it out to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, because it can go one of 2 ways. You can live or you can die.
Yeah.
And that's the harsh reality. But when I was going into these appointments, I had to do my research. I had to think about, okay, so what's cancer? And
because you have family members and like your auntie and stuff like that. But
yeah.
Did you have any idea of like the different types, or was that literally just researching in those 2
not
weeks?
the different types of breast cancer.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have a clue.
No, I thought breast cancer was one breast cancer and it's quite treatable. But there's actually so many different. So like my type of breast cancer is called triple positive.
Triple positive.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's positive for. So this is what they got from the biopsy the first time.
Yeah.
So they literally like extract like 3 parts of the tumour as such, and they're only like tiny, like you can't even really see them. They put them into the microscope and they test them for certain things.
Right.
So mine was estrogen fed, progesterone fed, and something called HER2 positive. So HER2 is a protein that everyone has in their body, but mine was basically, my cancer was feeding off the HER2. So it was rapidly dividing those cells into more cancer cells, which made my type of cancer a very aggressive form of cancer.
And you found this out when? In your consultant's appointment? Or was it further on down the
sort
line?
of like my consultant appointment, but then I delved sort of into more research, trying to find out. I followed different like surgeons and oncologists on social media, and they sort of helped to then break down what things meant. You know, that terminology that I wasn't used to.
Yeah, of course. Because you wouldn't.
HER2, what's HER2?
Yeah.
I remember saying to my oncologist, because I didn't actually get the HER2 result until I think it was like a good 6 weeks after I had the biopsy. So I knew it was like estrogen, progesterone, and they sort of said to me, right, you might not even have to have chemo. We'll just get it out and then we can just do hormone therapy for 10 years. And I thought to myself, right, okay, so I might not need to have chemo here. And then the HER2 came back positive, and straight away, the treatment plan for that is chemo.
Because it is such an aggressive form.
Yeah,
okay.
because it's so aggressive. But then also like for breast cancer, and I'm sure it's for other cancers as well. I can't really speak on other cancers, only breast cancer really at the moment. But you can you stage the breast cancer. Mine was stage 2. So stage 0 is where it's not invasive yet. Stage 1 is where it's below 2 centimetres and it's just within the breast. Stage 2, it can be between 2 and 5 centimetres.
Right.
Or
so the peak
the size, the size of it, or whether it's spread to nearby lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes that are like under the armpit, so the axillary lymph nodes they call them. So at first they thought it was stage 1. When we went in for surgery, they got the lump, and it's something called a sentinel node biopsy. So they take like 3 of the lymph nodes that are near to the breast, which they know by research that the cancer would spread to those first if it was going to spread throughout the body. And I thank my lucky stars that I got the surgeon that I did, that he noticed that when he went in for the lymph nodes, he noticed that they looked abnormal, even though on the scans that I'd had with Karen, they didn't look abnormal. And I suppose like scans are not 100%. It just proves, you know, that until you've got the naked eye looking at something, you just don't know. Mm-hmm. So he took 5 of my lymph nodes from under my arm.
And just on this, Niamh, are you awake at this point? Like,
no. So I wasn't actually aware of all like the results until I had then my follow-up appointment 6 weeks later after my op. I think it was like 6 to 8 weeks later. I think it was I always remember it was the 8th of April because that's my wedding anniversary, and me and Jim had to spend it in Rugby Hospital, and I was like, oh, great, you know. But it's one of those, isn't it? But
so for the biopsy, are you awake?
Yes, biopsy, I'm awake. They just numb you. To be honest, it didn't really hurt. Okay. But again, I think it's the shock. It's the adrenaline. I feel,
and who you are as a person as well. It's quite clear to see.
I don't know. Like, I don't like the thought of sort of like people. I don't like to be big-headed.
Yeah, or saying that
just like,
it was okay for me, but it may not have been for
somebody
and
that's
else.
it. Yeah. But my mum and dad have always said like I've had quite a high pain threshold all my life. You know, even as a kid, I'd fall over and I'd be like, I'm all right. I'd brush myself off. So yeah, it wasn't until then, like April, that I got the results that actually it spread to the lymph nodes. So that's how aggressive it was when you think of it. So my cancer was triple positive. It was stage 2 because it was only a 17 millimetre lump, so 1.7 centimetre. So it was only tiny, which is why they staged me at stage 1. But because it had gone into the lymph nodes, they were like, right, it's stage 2 now.
Because it's still more aggressive. Yeah.
But it's still treatable, it's still curable, which is I'm forever grateful for. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then so you've got your stage and then you've got your grade. The grade is basically where they look at it under the microscope and look, and they get this from actually the biopsy as well. So they get so much from the biopsy, it blows my mind. And they could tell that the cells, So grade 1 is cells that look quite similar to breast tissue.
Right.
Grade 2 is like cells that, they look a little bit more suspicious. They look like breast tissue, but they are sort of starting to look a bit more suspicious.
Yeah.
Grade 3 is like the cells are completely different to the breast tissue.
So they're cancerous cells now then? Okay.
Yeah, so that's how they know that. I think that's how Karen knew on that day, was as soon as she put it on, because it just basically looks like a fuzz ball on the mammogram. It looks like a ball of white fuzz. And I suppose that's because it's such an aggressive type of cancer. I think that's how she knew straight away.
Wow.
I know.
My God.
It's bonkers.
So they graded yours at a 3.
So the highest, the most aggressive type.
So
grade.
stage 2, grade 3.
Yes.
Okay. And they're saying it's still curable, it's still treatable.
Yeah.
What happened then? Like, were you, like, even little things, like, were you off work? Were you still at work? What was going on?
So I stopped working when I went for that initial appointment in January. I just couldn't. I think I was grieving, obviously, for my auntie.
Yeah.
And then I just had to sort of process. I was like, this could be like cancer. I need to get my head straight. And so I've only just recently gone back to work because I'm a teacher. It was quite hard. My oncologist was very worried about me going back to work with germs, etc., especially because I'd gone through chemotherapy. So I had a good year and 4 months off. But it was the right decision. Yeah. It was the best thing that, I had to heal myself, had to get myself better. So that I could then live a long, happy life. That's sort of how I've sort of posed it.
So the treatment then, they took the biopsy. They then stated you might not need chemo because it's just the one, but then you had the H.
Yeah, so they've just thought it was the
HER2. What is it?
HER2.
HER2. Yeah. So because you had both of them.
Yeah, because I had all of them, yeah. Then I had to have the chemo.
How was that conversation when you heard that?
Do you know what? My breast care nurse, she, so you have a breast care nurse. I just want to put this out there, actually. I never knew this job role existed. Never knew in my life that there was a breast care nurse that you could get, and it's all through Macmillan. But I tell you what, that breast care nurse sat with me every single appointment I had.
Same one?
Well, I had a surgical breast nurse
right.
In Rugby St Cross, because that's where all the surgery is based. And then I had an oncology breast care nurse that I had at the Arden Centre at University Hospital. Both of those women sat next to me through the rubbish conversations that I had to have. Because the surgeons sort of say it how it is. They see this day in, day out. They say it very factual. This is what we're going to do. Okay, and send you on your way. Which I accept, that's their job role. The breast care nurse is there to then, is the mental support for you.
Right.
Is the one to sort of take you into the room after, like the next door room, to help you process everything you've been told. So they'll sit you down, they'll look at you and say, are you okay? What questions do you want me to ask me? So yeah, these people, they are worth their weight in gold, honestly. And I hope they don't mind me saying their names, but Sophie, it was my breast care nurse in Rugby, and I had Kay, that was my breast care nurse in the Arden Centre, and honestly, I couldn't have got through it without them.
My God.
They knew all of the answers, and they knew sort of when I'd call them on the line just of a day that I was having a bad day, and the thoughts were getting the better of me. I remember ringing Kay, she was like, Niamh, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. This is normal, and how you're thinking is normal. She was like, and you're going to be okay because we're treating you. We're treating you for this, this, and this. We're treating every part of your cancer so it doesn't come back. And she
amazing.
She kept on saying to me, but Niamh, you haven't got cancer anymore. This is after I had my surgery. So what do you mean, Kay? She was like, we've got your cancer. We took it away from you. We've got your cancer now. She says, we're now just doing everything to prevent it coming back. And things like that where I thought, yeah, it just changes your mindset.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what I needed to hear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so absolutely amazing, these women.
So you had the breast care nurses when you heard about chemo and stating that was then the avenue you needed to go down. Yes. So were they support? Oh, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember sort of Sophie saying to me, if it's HER2 positive, you will, chemotherapy is part of the treatment plan.
Oh, okay. So you already went in there a little bit.
Yeah, she sort of, I think Sophie, Sophie was the sort of same age as me. Mm. And she was like, I think you need to hear this. And I did. I kept on asking the question, am I going to need chemotherapy? Am I going to... That's the one thing, like, going back to what we spoke about, am I going to die? Am I going to live for my children? Am I going to lose my hair? Was the third question.
Yeah.
Because you think, bloody hell, breast cancer, chemotherapy, I'm going to lose my hair. Because
there's chemotherapy and then there's radiotherapy.
Yes.
Obviously, I don't know how you were and your knowledge was before, but I completely agree with you. Cancer, losing hair.
Yeah.
It's the scary word that is cancer.
Yeah.
But then also what can come with it as well.
Yeah.
So did you know the difference between radiotherapy, chemo and all of that before?
I did, because of the experience with Jim's mum.
Right.
She had to have chemotherapy and she had surgery, but she didn't have to have radiotherapy. But she did have a different type of cancer to me. Sort of aware of it in that sense. I was quite knowledgeable like that.
Yeah.
But I suppose I did know that I'd need chemotherapy. I did know I'd need radiotherapy. And then I knew I needed targeted therapy, hormone therapy. Like, there were so many different therapies out there, and I was like, I didn't even know any of this existed.
And what was the kind of time frame that they were saying that you're going to need to have all of this stuff done?
So I had the surgery, Feb.
Surgery to remove the lump?
To remove the lump,
right.
For the sentinel node biopsy, where they realised it had gone into the lymph nodes.
Okay.
I then had the appointment in April. And then by the 23rd of April, I was in for my first chemo. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, they didn't hang about, which I'm so thankful for.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you've even said that right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, you hit the ground running, but so did they, because you wanted to treat it and get better. What was that experience like then, chemotherapy?
I can't really describe it. And as I've said before, I think I've forgotten most of it.
Yeah.
But then
what is it, Niamh?
So, chemo. I had to have 8 rounds of chemotherapy. I had to have 2 different types of chemo. So the first one was called EC. It's called, they name it as the Red Devil, because when it's going into you, it's red. Right. Nothing like scaremongering people.
Yeah.
But
the surgeons don't say it's the Red Devil.
They don't. They say EC. It's called epirubicin and carboplatin.
Okay.
But on all social media, it's the Red Devil, they say.
Right.
Because it's good shit. It's a good drug.
Okay.
It's one of the best chemotherapies out there to wipe out cancer cells in the body. And with that type of chemo, so that was my first 4 sessions, I had to have EC.
Where? Like...
so the first one I had to be cannulated.
Right.
But the second, from then on in, I then got a port installed.
Okay.
Put in. Because this, like the chemotherapy that I was having, it basically collapses your veins in the arm. It freezes your veins, and it makes it really difficult then for blood tests, like thereon after, like for the rest of my life. So yeah, I had 1 cannulated and then the rest through the port, which I've actually got 2 scars. I've got a scar here and one in my neck, and that was the surgery in itself to get the port put in.
So it goes in. So with the cannula, it goes into the veins to find the cancerous cells, but then it collapses the veins at the same time, or
So because the chemo is so strong, it sort of like freezes the vein as such.
Right. Okay.
So the chemo goes essentially through all your bloodstream.
Yeah.
To goes all the way around your body.
Yeah.
Even though you just think, oh, it's only going there or it's only going here because that's where the port is.
Yeah.
But I remember the nurse saying, no, Niamh, that's going everywhere in your body because it's going to your heart and then your heart's pumping it out, and it's like a biology lesson.
My God.
Yeah. And then after I had the 4 EC, I then moved on to docetaxel, which is, I always remember them saying, you've done EC, you'll be fine. Moved on to docetaxel, and I felt like a 90-year-old woman. The bone pain was horrendous, but do you know what? I had to do it. Like,
how long are the sessions?
So I would be in for about 2 to 3 hours.
What, just sat there?
Just sat there in the chemo unit, and that was really traumatic. Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Sitting with poorly people, and it's really having out of body experience, because you're looking around and you're thinking, oh my God, these people are so poorly. And I remember Jim saying to me, but Niamh, you're poorly. And I was like, oh God, yeah. Like, and he wasn't saying it to be like horrible. He was saying, you're poorly too. Like, you need to be here to get better.
Yeah.
it's really sad, like you couldn't have anyone with you. It's still sort of COVID rules.
Because the risk of germs and infection and stuff.
And I can see why. I can see why, because there's a lot of poorly people in there. And there's a lot of nurses, and they've got to do their job properly. And if everyone had someone next to them, that room would be packed out.
Yeah.
You know, so I totally get that. But it's going in and you're sat there and you're in your own thoughts. And, you know, the Arden Centre, unfortunately, is more for like palliative patients.
Okay.
Which I didn't really know until my breast care nurse told me. But she did stop me in my tracks and she said, but you're not palliative. You're here because we do a lot of breast care here. Like breast cancer is one of our well-known treatment plans here. So that's why you're based here. I did have the option to go to Rugby St Cross because they do the cold cap in there. And I've got a friend, unfortunately, who's had breast cancer and she did hers there as well.
Okay.
So she's got like the experience of doing her cold capping and things like that. So
what is that, cold capping?
So cold capping is where you wear, it's literally like a cap where they put like, I think it's like really cold water. Do you know what? I'm not 100% on it. But I know Amy Dowden did it. Like I follow Amy Dowden on Instagram, and I know she did it for a good few sessions. And they basically put it on, but you've got to have it on like 2 hours before your treatment, have your treatment whilst it's on, and then you've got to wait like an hour or two after your treatment. So it does take up like a lot of time, like having it. And for me, I was like, if I'm going to lose my hair, I'm going to lose my hair. And I was in the mindset where I thought, because it was like cooling your hair, your scalp, so that you didn't lose your hair.
Right.
The chemotherapy wasn't sort of going there, and for me, I thought, well, if I'm going to have chemo, I want it to get everywhere. Get it everywhere. Yeah. But that's people's personal opinions. Like that was just my sort of mindset on it. I was like, if I'm having it, I'm going to have it. Like I just want to do it properly. And I think I'd sort of accepted, because Sophie kept on saying to me, like, if it comes back HER2 positive, you'll need chemo. I think I was sort of just mentally prepared, where I was just like, I've just got to run with it. You know, I've just got to do it, you know. And I remember before, like my mindset before, like if anyone said to me, you've got to shave your head, I'd be like, are you bonkers? Like, I was so sort of proud of my hair.
Yeah.
Or like hair, nails, eyelashes, eyebrows. And then I remember Mum saying, of all bloody people to lose their hair, and it's you. Like we always had to make a light joke of it, because it's so true. But it just shows that hair, eyelashes, eyebrows is not the be all end all.
No,
it's really not. The wigs out there are phenomenal.
I've seen them.
Absolutely phenomenal.
And you get the choice.
Yeah, you get the choice.
Change it up
one day I can be brown, one day I can be blonde.
Yeah.
You know, and do you know what? My kids didn't bat an eyelid, even when I had a bald head. Like Jimmy and Maeve were like, "Oh, Mama," like, and I thought, Mama's sitting here with a bald head, like,
because children are the purest form of innocence. So they just had their mummy.
Yeah, they were so resilient. Honestly, I'm so proud of them for that. They're so resilient.
Well, they've clearly got some of your traits. So with the treatment that you're having, did you feel instantly poorly when it was going in? Was it during? Was it after?
It was a really weird sensation when it was going through you. It feels like there's cold water running through all your body.
So you can feel something.
You can feel it, yeah. Yeah, it's really... And that feeling, I remember, because I wasn't prepared for it, I associated that with chemo. Okay. And so every time that happened at the beginning of chemo, I'd feel really sick. Right. Because I'd be like, oh, do you know, like when you get that... It's a bit like morning sickness. You get that, oh, something turns your stomach. Yeah. That's like that sensation turned my stomach. But it wasn't until... With the EC, I would feel like I'd have to go home straight away and I'd be in bed. And like I'd have my chemo like every third Wednesday. It was on a 3-weekly cycle. Okay. So I'd have it on the Wednesday, and then I knew I'd be written off till like Monday. Like I'd be sort of sleeping in bed, like, don't get me wrong, like I'd be awake, like I wouldn't be like a corpse in bed, but I'd have to be resting. Like Jimmy and Maeve would have to come and see me in bed. Yeah. But like they'd go to school and nursery, I'd be able to have a shower and things, and then by 4 or 5 o'clock, when my mum and dad would bring them home for me, I'd sort of make sure I was out of bed. Even though I still had my pyjamas on, I'd make sure I was out of bed so that I could read them their bedtime story, or I could play with them a little bit. Or I'd be on the sofa so they could bring me a game so I could play with them. Yeah, yeah. You know, but I knew for them, sort of like from the Wednesday to the Monday, that I'd be written off. And then I'd slowly be picking myself back up. But then you go into a phase then from the Monday until the following Monday where you've got to be careful of your infection.
If you're out and about.
Yeah, if you're out and about. Because my immune system was so low, I'd been susceptible to anything, and even like a cough or a cold, and if I would have got that at that moment in time, my body wouldn't have been able to fight it. So then I was sort of indoors then for that week, feeling okay. And then you have like one more week, and I remember that week I was like, yeah, I'm back to me again, you know, and I lived so much in that week. And then it was sort of back round to the cycle.
And you know that it was coming the next Wednesday. So how long did your whole treatment journey last for?
So the chemo lasted from April until I had my last chemo on the 17th of September last year.
April until September.
And is it 5-6 months?
And has it been every 3 weeks, or was that just the EC?
You know, all of it, every 3 weeks, yeah. I did try every 2 weeks with the EC because it's called dose-dense chemotherapy, but it wiped me. I just couldn't do it. And my oncologist said, like, you don't need to do that. You just need to make sure you get yourself better in the 3 weeks to have your next cycle. But yeah, it lasted from April until September, the chemo. And then I then had to have another operation because they'd found it in 2 of the lymph nodes. I call it Bastard. Because they'd found it in 2 of the lymph nodes, they had to go in and do a lymph node clearance on that side.
Right.
So it's where they went back in and they removed any more lymph nodes that they could find under the arm, in the armpit, to basically test them to see if the cancer had gone into any of them. Just to double
really
check.
Make sure, yeah.
It was basically like, I remember Kay always saying to me, this is the insurance policy. She was like, you might think it's pointless, but if we do it now, then we know we've done it, rather than doing it in 10 years where it might...
She's great, that Kay.
Oh, honestly, everyone needs a Kay in their life, honestly. She's absolutely phenomenal. So yeah,
I suppose that might, I mean, don't want to speak for you, but I suppose that might have added a little bit of like security for you as well here. And, you know, this is the insurance policy. Yeah. It's almost solidifying. Yeah. It's gone. Yeah. We're just making sure.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what that's how she always spoke. So positive. I remember her saying to me, Niamh, if I was to get breast cancer, and she says, this sounds awful, she says, but because I live and breathe this every day, and I have 25, 30 years, she says, if I was to get a type of breast cancer, it would be your type. She says, because I know we can treat every single part of your breast cancer. Wow. Like, she'd strip it down to just then make me think, I'm going to be okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be okay. And I always remember, I think it was on TikTok, there was like a sound on TikTok, and it was always like, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah, I have.
And every time I spoke to Kay, I'd have that in the back of my mind, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And because I then spoke to Kay, I could then speak to my family and say, I'm going to be okay, because this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is what I've been told, and this is why. I could then give them the answers that they needed.
Speaking of family, how was everybody dealing with this during, even the entire time? What was going on for them? Jim just soldiered on. Like, Jim... So this is your husband?
This is my husband, Jim. Yeah. He is absolutely phenomenal. Everyone in my life right now is phenomenal. But honestly, he is 1 in a million. Couldn't get any more. Like, everyone needs a Jim in their life. Mm. He's so selfless. He got me through the journey. But I remember saying to him, I need you to make sure you're there for Jimmy and Maeve, because I don't know where this is going to take me. Like, I remember sitting down and having that conversation with him. We had to plan our lives because I was like, I don't know where this is going to take us.
Yeah.
Makes me a bit emotional thinking about it now.
Not surprised, Niamh.
Yeah, but I just said to them, like him, I was like, I need you to make memories with Jimmy and Maeve. I was like, because I'm going to be okay. I'm going to fight this, and I'm going to do the cycles that I need to do. But I need you to go and when I'm poorly, take Jimmy and Maeve away. So we bought a caravan last year. And it's the best thing we ever did. And he took them to the caravan on that sort of weekend, that Saturday and Sunday where I was in bed. He'd take them away and he'd make memories with them. And so I hope they don't have memories of mummy being poorly.
Yeah.
Because that was me at my worst time, was that weekend, and that sort of like 5 days.
So after the Wednesday, the weekend after, yeah.
That would always be my worst. And he would make sure, and like, it's hard packing 2 young children up and taking them away and just cracking on. But he did it. I'm absolutely in awe of like everything that he did for me and my children. our children, you know, especially watching his mum die of cancer.
Yeah.
And that always, I suppose I hold a guilt to that he's had to watch his mum die of cancer, and also his wife then got diagnosed with cancer. And he turns around and said to me, why do you feel guilty? Like, you didn't want this, you didn't cause this. But I suppose it's always a guilt that I'll feel. I have a guilt for my mum and dad, you know, because I'm the baby of the family. They've had to watch their baby go through something that you never want to watch your child go through. Like, I always think to myself, imagine watching Jimmy or Maeve go through this. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that. Like,
it goes back to what you said, like, you wouldn't be able to watch somebody else go through it, but the fact that you were going through it, you almost could, like, compartmentalize that. Like, I'm going to be okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
But you're even saying here, like, your feelings were based on my family members, like, they're upset, and that guilt was there.
Yeah.
Is that guilt still there?
Yeah, I think it always will be. I had a big guilt. Like, I did genetic testing at the beginning as well, and until I got those test results back, because I've got breast cancer at such a young age, I was actually diagnosed at 31. I turned 32 in the April. They put you through, like, genetic testing, because I remember my oncologist saying to me, on paper, Niamh, you should never have got cancer.
Absolutely.
Like, I was the fittest, I was the healthiest that I'd ever been. I just ran a half marathon, like country half marathon. I was into my running, into my training, ate well. Like, my oncologist was like, this just should never have happened. So that's why they put you through the genetic testing, because you just never know.
Right.
But I had to wait like 12 weeks for that to come back. So I was sort of like, I remember getting those results when I just had my first chemotherapy. And they came back all clear. So a part of the guilt lifted then when I thought, right, I know it's not genetic, so I know I haven't passed anything on to Jimmy or Maeve, because that was my worry straight away. And I suppose I had a worry for my mum and my sister as well, because if it is genetic, then it's somewhere there, like, you know. Yeah. But no, all the genetics came back fine. But that's not to say in 10 years' time we won't realise there's a different gene that causes breast cancer. So that's why now, sort of like, the first thing that I said to my oncologist and my consultant, I said, how are you going to protect my daughter and my sister and my mum? What are you going to do? And so, you know, my sister now can get checked. She had to go through a GP, but she can have, you know, if she chooses to, she can have early mammograms because she's just turned 40.
Even though the genetic testing came back clear?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there's, it's quite close relative in that sense. Yeah. But, she can.
So this is information that I never knew.
No, it is. And with regards to Maeve, my consultant said that she can, when she hits puberty, she'll basically be in the system then.
Right, okay.
And he was like, to be honest, Niamh, in 10 years' time, things will probably be a lot different. He was like, so people will be getting screened earlier. Because, like, some of the statistics and the facts that I didn't know about breast cancer is when you're 46, that's classed as young with breast cancer.
And you were 31?
And I was 31. So all of these leaflets they were giving me, they had, like, women that I don't mean this in a patronising and horrible way, but they're women that I couldn't
relate to.
No, I just couldn't, because I was like, they're not me.
Yeah.
They haven't got 2 young children. They haven't, you know. Yeah, so I remember saying to them when they were giving me these leaflets, I was like, look, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to look at these. Yeah. Because they don't relate to me. I can't relate to them.
On social media and stuff, you know, like when you were doing your research, did you find people that you could relate to through that pathway?
Yes, I did on TikTok, you know.
Okay.
Everyone raves about TikTok, like TikTok dance and COVID. It's really weird. Like, as soon as I was diagnosed with breast cancer, like, your phone picks it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And there's something on your phone.
There's fairies in your phones.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And on TikTok, it was coming up with, like, other people's breast cancer journeys. So yeah, I did. There was another girl, actually. She's a year older than me, but she got diagnosed when she was 31. So it was like, right, I had someone to talk to, a message, and then so I had to have chemotherapy and then I had radiotherapy. I had to have 20 sessions of that. And it seems like a lot, but I had to have it every day. With radiotherapy, you have it every day.
So every day at rugby or...
so that was at the Arden Centre.
Right.
So, but you only have it sort of like Monday to Friday. So it's 5 days on, 2 days off, another 5 days. So I had to have 4 weeks worth as such. It wasn't until I was going through radiotherapy, you start to meet people in the waiting room, right, and they go in at the same, like, you're there because you have your radiotherapy at the same sort of time every day, around about that time. So you're in the waiting room with the same people. And I remember sort of locking eyes with this woman. I thought, God, she's quite young. She's got no hair. I wonder if she's had breast cancer. But anyway, we started talking. You know, you just sort of make that initial conversation at the reception. Oh, hi, you all right?
Yeah.
We got talking, and I met, her name's Sarah, I met her through it. But it was sort of at the end of my journey. And I thought, God, if I would have met you back in February, we could have got through this together.
You could have had that
obviously,
friend, yeah.
GDPR, they can't, like, I said this sort of to my breast care nurse. I was like, is there anything that we, you know, forums or things that you could put together so that there is people in the same chemo unit that are going for the same chemo as you, that are the sort of around the same age as you, just so that you don't feel as alone.
Yeah.
Because I felt so lonely going through it because I was so young.
And it's that relatability because, as you said, like even when we first started speaking and you told me what you've been through, when I heard your age, I was shocked because it is shocking because you don't hear of it very often. So I'm not surprised that, you know, looking for somebody to even talk about, share your experiences that has been through it or is going through it, it's limited.
Yeah, it really is.
The only thing I can relate to is my mom had dementia at 52. Right. And I was the same thing. Everybody that gets dementia, it's me being stereotypical here, everybody that gets dementia is a grandma. And everybody that gets dementia has a big family around them. I was an only child and my mum was 52 and I was 21. Wow. So the relatability for me was exactly the same. No, I don't want to go to these groups and take my mum there because she's 40 years younger than everybody else that's in here. So I can relate to you on that. So when you're going through your treatment, what was the difference between radiotherapy and chemotherapy?
So chemo is basically they shut down any other cancer cells that might have gone rogue in the body. Right. Even though like I had a CT scan and they were quite sure that it wasn't anywhere else in my body. Yeah. Again, insurance policy they want to zap anything, any microscopic cells. So that's sort of like the fluid they put into you and that can make you quite poorly. Yeah. Radiotherapy then came after. So I had the second operation, in October. And then I had to wait until, I think I had my third, I do actually remember, I had my first radiotherapy on the 23rd of December. And I remember they called me on the 22nd of December and were like, right, you're in tomorrow. We've got a gap. Let's get you through this. And I was like, oh, I remember getting that jittery feeling again that I had like the night I found the lump. And I was like, oh, and I thought, no, just got to do it. Just got to do it. So radiotherapy, the only way I can describe it is like going for a sunbed. Okay. Yeah. You literally lie on a bed and it's painless. It doesn't hurt. And it's all, oh God, the technology, it's basically like a scanner that you lie on the bed and it goes around you and it basically focuses on that sort of area.
Like a big X-ray?
Yeah.
Or not?
It's sort of, but the machine moves. It's really like, do you know like if you go for like a CT scan or an MRI?
In the tunnel?
Yeah. So it's not like that, thank goodness, because they're my worst nightmare. But the machine just moves around you. So you lay on a bed, the room's around you, and it just goes around you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the only part of that, and it's really like having gone through chemo, like I felt like a bit of a wimp, but it caused me motion sickness. And it was the sound of it, like it was like,
right.
And yeah, it made me really, so I had to take anti-sickness tablets and I was like, bloody hell, I've just gone through chemotherapy and now I've got to take anti-sickness tablets. But they did say a lot of women, you know, feel like that. So yeah, and that, it basically then, radiotherapy helps it not come back in the same sort of area, in that localised area.
Right, how?
So it zaps, it basically kills all of the cells around there.
So it can't pass over to them?
Yeah, okay. It burns them. So it can cause, it's really weird because I finished my radiotherapy on the 21st of January of this year. Okay. And after it, I felt okay. Like I made sure I kept up with my cream because it can cause like damage to the skin. But now I'm sort of feeling it's caused the damage inside, like to my bones there. It's like fibrosis. Right. It's like a tightness feeling. But that's something that with exercise, with physiotherapy, I'll get through sort of thing. It's like, I'm honestly not bothered about that. Like I'm here and I'm living. But it just shows that I remember going into radiotherapy and thinking, I've done chemo, I'll be able to do this. But I found radiotherapy a lot harder mentally. Oh. It was mentally draining. Going
every day?
Every day, seeing being in that room with those poorly people, bearing in mind I was poorly, like, again, that out-of-body experience.
Could you have like might be a stupid question, but could you have like music on and stuff while you were in there to like distract yourself at all when the machine was on?
Yeah, so they did have music on, but I remember of all the music, it was that Faith Hill song, "There You'll Be."
What?
Yeah, I was like, and it kept, because I kept on going back at the same time.
That song?
Honestly, because I was going the same time, and obviously they were switching the music on at the same time every day. It was always that song, and in the end, I was like, "You're gonna have to turn the music off." I'll listen to the machine going round. I'll get the motion sickness. Just turn the song off.
And even now, I bet if you heard the song.
Oh yeah, I can't listen to it. I came out to Jim and I was crying. Jim's like, "What's wrong? What's happened in there?" I was like, "That bloody song."
That is a really sad, depressing song.
I know. And I was laid there. Like, the treatment it actually takes you longer to get sort of mapped out on the table for radiotherapy than what it does for the actual treatment itself. So the actual treatment, I always remember, was like a song and a half. There was no sort of clocks in there. It was really strange. I was like, right, so I've had that one Faith Hill song. There's another song that used to come on after.
It's like a hospital radio or something.
I think it was just like a really old CD, like probably one that you used to get out of the new. You remember the newspaper and you used to get the free CDs?
Yeah.
Honestly, I swear by it was one of those.
My God. Okay.
Yeah.
So while you were going through all of this treatment, were they doing regular checks to make sure everything was okay, or was it just get it all done and find out at the end?
Yeah, so it was regular blood work to make sure that I didn't have any infections as such in my body, which every sort of blood work, I was okay. I then obviously, so I had the CT scan in the April, because when they realised it had gone into the lymph nodes, they had to check that it hadn't gone anywhere else in my body.
Yeah.
So I had that scan, and then I didn't then have another sort of scan or anything until February this year, and that was my mammogram. So that was my yearly surveillance mammogram.
Right.
And that, thank God, came back all clear. So I've
How
got
was
one
that feeling?
out.
Sorry to interrupt, but how was that feeling?
I had really bad anxiety. Before I had the mammogram, I was fine. I had the mammogram and I was like, oh God, I called it scanxiety.
Oh yeah.
Because you're just thinking, what if? Even though I've just finished active treatment, but I'm actually still on active treatment now until July. So because mine was HER2 positive, I have to have an injection every 3 weeks to still target what was part of the aggressive cancer.
Okay. Is that in the hospital? Or
so that's in the chemo unit still, yeah. So I just had that Wednesday just gone. So I'd literally finished work and I go straight up there. Yeah, but I've just got to do it. It's keeping me alive. Like, you know, and I'm so thankful that there's these drugs out there that can target my type of cancer.
Yeah.
You know, what a world we live in where the NHS has moved so far, and like the treatment around breast cancer is so amazing.
Yeah.
That it's treatable and curable.
Your mindset is incredible. I'm sorry, but it really, really is. Like, hearing what you've been through and just how you explain it and how you like, you know, my cancer, they can treat my cancer. Yeah. It's an inspiration. And I think your children, if they don't already know it, obviously because they're little, you're an inspiration to them as well, Niamh. So I went out onto my story and said, like, I blurred your face out and I said, somebody's coming on, she's had breast cancer at the age of 32, anyone have a question? And one of them was your experience of cancer how you expected it to be?
No, not at all.
Right.
So going back to the movies, you expect going through chemotherapy that you're going to be sick all the time.
Yeah.
That you're going to be that really like sick feeling. Don't get me wrong, you do feel sick, but as I said before, the drugs out there that counteract all of this, they're amazing. Like, I remember going in, they gave me this anti-sickness drug and I was like, oh, I still feel a little bit sick. My oncologist was like, you don't need to feel sick. We'll give you this anti-sickness drug. And
so it's like problem and solution.
Yeah, that's it. She was like, because you don't need to be in pain. Like, I remember when I had the second night of chemo, the docetaxel, I had really bad bone pain, which it is known for. Again, I had to question Kay about that because I was like, has it gone to my bones? It's the cancer from my bones now. Everything is a worry.
Right.
She's like, no, but this is a side effect of that type of chemo. And then because I sort of spoke to my oncologist, she was like, oh, no, you don't need to feel that pain. She was like, we'll give you medication for that and you take it for 5 days after. Medication worked. Didn't feel like a 90-year-old.
Wow.
It's crazy. Like, I remember them saying you do not need to suffer because in this day and age, we've got things that can treat and counteract lots.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think cancer is what I thought it would be. again, you just never expect it to happen to you. I always say to myself, let me get this right. So I had breast cancer. Breast cancer didn't have me.
Oh.
And I always think that, and I think, yeah, I had it. Like, that's part of that chapter. I sort of haven't closed the chapter because I'm still on that treatment, but I can park it to one side because it didn't have me. Like, I had it. I owned it. Yeah, that's it. I do. I always think past tense.
Yeah.
They've got my cancer. Yeah, and you sort of own it. You have to own it rather than, because what can you do? Like, what other choice did I have?
That's the thing, isn't it?
I didn't have a choice.
You have a sit and be absorbed by everything, or you have the mindset that you have, which in my opinion is the harder one to be able to grasp hold of, Niamh. Like, because it's heartbreaking. You're a mum of two. You're young. You got your whole life ahead of you, and hearing those words must have been really traumatic for you.
It was.
Another question that we had from a listener is, how's this changed your mindset and your outlook on life now that you've had it? Are you a different Niamh than you were before?
Oh, I was. Like, before I was quite like not a stressy Niamh, but everything in my life had to be perfect.
Right.
I had to be a perfect mom. I had to be a perfect teacher. And in life, no one's perfect. Yeah. And I've come to realise that. I lived a perfectly healthy lifestyle and I still got cancer. If you want the glass of wine, drink the glass of wine. If you want to have the McDonald's, have the McDonald's.
So
just
live
do it
as well.
Yeah, live your life. Because do you know what? Like, I've never questioned my mortality the most than what I have in the past year. And this is going to sound really morbid, Ellie, and I don't mean it to sound morbid, but we're all going to die one day.
Yeah.
We're all going to die one day. Some die earlier than others. Live your life. Like, now I'm back at work. I don't stress about it. I enjoy it. I think, no, that can wait till tomorrow. I'm going home to my babies now. Like, I enjoy it with the kids now in the classroom. Not that I didn't before, but I think I just let things just get a little bit too on top of me because I wanted to be that perfect person.
Yeah.
But that was quite detrimental to myself. The stress of that probably brought on the cancer. And that's what my oncologist has actually said. Like, your cortisol levels have a big part in what your cells do in your body. And high cortisol levels can cause cancer. So just don't stress. It's not worth it. Live your life. Buy the car. Buy the caravan. Do the extension on your house. Money's money.
And it will always come back.
Oh, and that's it, honestly. Yeah. And and people sort of say to me now, like, I do feel like I've lived the most that I ever have in the past year. Like, even going through chemotherapy, on that week, my good week, I'd be at the caravan, making those memories. Like, never before would I have done that, because I'd be like, oh, I've got to wear the uniforms, got to do this, got to do that, got to do... Like, that can wait.
Has your husband noticed the difference in you?
Yeah, he has. I'm not as stressy. But it's strange, because Jim sees a different part of me that no one sort of else does.
Yeah.
So Jim sort of still sees where I can get a little bit teary of a night.
Yeah.
When something just triggers me, or I hear someone I know that's been just diagnosed with breast cancer, and you think, what is going on? Like, how is this happening? So he still does see that sort of part of me, but he does, like, he sees that I'm not as sort of like stressy, and, not that it's a bad thing to be stressy.
No, not at all. I tell my husband that all the time. Chill out.
Yeah, that's it. But I suppose it takes something to come along in your life where you just think, it's just not worth it.
No.
Just enjoy your life. Be silly, have fun, make the memories. But I always say, and one thing I say to everyone, two things I actually say now, is make sure when you buy a house, or if you've got a mortgage, make sure you've got critical illness, because that will help you through.
Never knew that.
Yeah, make sure you've got critical illness. You might pay quite a lot for it monthly, but in time, it will help. That's what I always say. So critical illness. And number 2, check your boobs.
Tell me how to check my boobs.
So there's a big thing. So 2 charities that I follow, Breast Cancer Now and Copperfield.
Right.
They're 2 amazing charities to follow. And it's something called Feel It on the First that I follow. So it's making sure that the first of the month always comes around. So on that first of the month, instead of doing pinch bunch first day of the month, check your boobs.
Right.
So it's on Breast Cancer Now, on Copperfield, they do show you exactly sort of how to do it. There's images of it. But it's just basically, people say to me, were you scared to check your boobs? And I was like, no. The only time that I started checking my boobs was after I had Maeve, because I breastfed Maeve. Again, if you breastfeed, you won't get breast cancer. Just putting it out there.
Right.
Yeah, it's meant to decrease your risk.
Of course.
So again, my oncologist was very much like, this shouldn't have happened. Anyway, I started then checking my boobs more after feeding Maeve, because I was trying to get that milk moving, making sure it wasn't getting clogged up, making sure I didn't get mastitis. So that's just something that I just carried on. And thank God I did.
Because it was that one day in the shower, a pea-sized lump.
Pea-sized lump, yeah. But I do think to myself now, I think this is my own subconscious. Like, did I feel it before? Was it there before? And I just ignored it? But I don't think I did. I suppose people always have the sort of blame game on themselves. Did I get it quick enough before it got into stage 2? But what can I do about that now? I found it. I acted on it. And I'm here now.
Yeah,
Thank God to tell the tale. But yeah, just check your boobs. And it's not just checking your boobs, it's also checking your armpits, because that'll be the first place. Sometimes you don't have a lump in your boob, you have a lump in your armpit. And it's in the lymph nodes there. So it's just making sure that you're checking thoroughly. And it's not being worried to check your boobs. It's the fact if you're checking on the 1st of every month and you are starting to feel what is normal to you, and you know you're normal, then when something does crop up and doesn't feel normal, well, you've caught it early.
Oh my God.
Because you've done it in good time. It wasn't there last month. It feels a little bit different now. Okay, I'm going to go get that checked out.
And what would, say if somebody did that, found something a little bit different, their first call would be their GP?
GP, yeah. So call your GP. And I just want to put it out there, like, when you feel a lump, 9 times out of 10, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not suspicious.
Yeah.
I was just unfortunate. I'm that 1 out of 10 that it was, cancer.
Yeah.
Was, yeah. It was cancer. So it's just making sure that you're norm.
Normal.
You're normal.
Right.
Your norm of
know
your
your
boobs.
norm. Okay.
Know your norm.
Yeah.
And so that if anything did crop up, you know that you've acted on it, and you know, actually, that wasn't there. Let's get it checked out. And 9 times out of 10, it's nothing to be worried about. So don't ever be scared checking your boobs. That's one thing, because like checking my boobs saved my life. Early detection saved my life, because it was treatable and it was curable. And I'm now, don't get me wrong, I've still got a long journey. I'm still on hormone therapy for 10 years. Still got to have a monthly injection to put me into the menopause, to make sure that my hormones don't go rogue again. But what a time to be alive that I can have this injection every month, that I have to take this daily tablet that will stop estrogen forming in my body. Yeah, I'm in menopause. Yeah, I had to accept that I can't have any more children. And don't get me wrong, that was really hard. And I think that's come about now, hearing people that are becoming pregnant.
Right.
I think that's a bit of a dagger now, because I didn't think about that last year, because I just had to think about, right, I need to get through this, need to fight the cancer.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, it has actually really changed my life, because we can't have another baby. And we did struggle to have our 2 children. So what I've got to take from that is I've got my 2 babies, and I'm so lucky to have those 2. But it does still hurt when I hear of pregnancy announcements, because I'm only 33.
Mm-hmm. And you're human.
Yeah.
You're human. And there's nothing wrong with feeling like that, Niamh. Honestly, like, it's natural. You've had something taken away from you. So it hurts.
Yeah, not out of choice as well.
Exactly.
That's it.
And also, you've got your beautiful babies, but they've also got you.
Yes.
Which I think is even...
Exactly.
That holds more weight
yes,
than you having your babies.
Really
is that
does.
You've got this sorted, you've got yourself fixed, you've got rid of it, you've closed the door on it, you're making sure it never comes back, but they've still got their mummy.
Yeah. And that was my one thing. Remember I said to Karen, am I going to be here for my children?
Yeah.
And I remember saying to my oncologist, I will do anything to be here for my children. And even still to this day, when I go into the appointment, I think my oncologist thinks, oh, not you again, Niamh, with your questions and your research. I'll go in and say, what about this treatment? Will this help me? Will this have any benefit?
Oh, you're
Will this give me another percentage? Because I just want, give me anything to stop it coming back, so that I can make, because there was a time last year where I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see Maeve go to school. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see them graduate. I don't know if I'm going to be here to see them get married.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, no, I will be here. I will be here because I'm doing everything I can to be here.
Yeah.
You know, and even though it's crippling on my body now, like I've got osteopenia already, which is thinning of the bones in my spine because of the medication. That doesn't matter because I'm going to do exercise and that's going to strengthen it. You know, like I'll do anything because I'm like, God, I've just gone through the worst thing I could possibly imagine. It's up to me now to make sure that I'm fit and healthy to stop this coming back.
I'm blown away. I am. You're an inspiration, and your mindset on this is exactly the reason why I started this podcast, because you've been through something so traumatic. I can't even imagine how you were feeling, hearing it, going through it, having treatment, thinking about your family, all of that kind of stuff. But the way that you explain it in terms of like, well, this is on me now. I've got to make sure I've got to get up and get on with it. Honestly, you're a credit to yourself.
Do you know, I wanted to come on here because I wish I had someone talking like this to me back last year in February when I was in the depths of it, worried, questioning my life.
Yeah.
To now see someone at the other end of it and say, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I always remember that thing from TikTok. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. I want to try and be that person for someone else going through it. That it's going to be okay. It's going to be shit. You're going to have days where you're like, bloody hell, I don't think I can do this anymore. But you're not going to give up because you're going to look at your family, you're going to look at your children, and they're going to be your reason to get through it.
Amazing.
Just got to do it.
With the charities and stuff like that, I'll put their info in the show notes for the episode. Two of your close, well, I think a sister-in-law, and one of your friends they answered my poll today, and they said it's not a question, but we just want to say how inspirational and how inspirational you are and how proud they are of you. So I just wanted to say that to you lovely. Because people love you and they're proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. How have you felt after our podcast today?
Oh, I feel emotional now. I suppose it's just I act quite strong, but deep down I don't feel like I am. It's just I just want to spread awareness that it can happen in younger people. Check your boobs, and if something just doesn't feel right, if you're questioning something, go and get it checked out. Like your GP is not going to bat you off because you just want to be checked out. It's the best thing to do. I just want to spread awareness because early detection is key. It can save lives, and it saved my life. Yeah. Check out these charities like Breast Cancer Now, Copperfield, because you might think that it will never happen to you. And I thought that. I just thought, this won't happen to me. And unfortunately it did. You know, so it's just, I just want to spread awareness. And also be that sort of person that will tell someone going through it now, you're going to be okay. Yeah. You are going to be okay. Like the NHS, people sometimes criticise the NHS. I think so highly for them because they saved my life. Because of the drugs, because of the research, because of their expertise is why I'm sat here today.
Even the nurses.
Yeah, the breast care nurses. Absolutely, honestly, worth their weight in gold. Fantastic. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, just make sure if you've got critical illness, check your boobs. And that's just not ladies, men, check your boobs. Because I remember sitting waiting for my biopsy and there was a man in the waiting room. You know, it's not as common in men, but it can still happen to men. Men still have breast tissue. So it's just men, women, check yourself.
Thank you. I'm going to go and check mine. Okay, so we're coming to the end of my podcast now. Yeah. You have been incredible.
Oh, thanks.
Honestly. No, I'm not lying. I'm not bullshitting you. I was trying to think. Don't swear.
I know. That's what I thought through. I was like, can I swear?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
But shit's in there, sorry.
Genuinely, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you've agreed to come onto the podcast and share your story because it's so unique, painful, but inspirational at the end of it. Like, I had cancer. Cancer didn't have me. Mm-hmm. That is... I want you to tell yourself that every night.
Yeah, no, that's it. I do sometimes have to give myself the pep talk. Yeah. It's okay. And that mantra of, I had it. It didn't have me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks so much.
Is there any links or anything that I've missed out that you want to...
No, just those 2 charities. There are other charities. So they're called Arden Angels that are specifically for the University Hospital. I think they're also called Check Your Ducks.
Check Your Ducks. Yeah.
So someone I know that's gone through breast cancer, they did a walk a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
They raised a lot of money.
Yes, they did. I think my mother-in-law went on that walk.
Oh, did she? Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Raised so much money. And that was all for Anne-Marie that, I've been sort of connecting with over this journey.
Fab.
So yeah, just those charities. And if you do want to add a little bit of a donation onto the fundraising walk that they've just done recently, I can always put a link onto that.
Please do. Yeah. Any links?
That's all for those charities as well. So it's working together, to spread awareness.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Ellie.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the You Look Happier podcast. If you are listening to this, please feel free to follow us on our socials, you_look_happier. And if you're watching it on YouTube, please click like and subscribe.